Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
Bandwidth for TWiT specials is provided by CacheFly at CACHEFLY.com.
This is TWiT Live special number 318, recorded Wednesday, March 29th, 2017. Samsung Galaxy S8 announcement. This TWiT Live special is brought to you by FreshBooks, the ridiculously easy-to-use cloud accounting software used by over 10 million small business owners. Try it free for 30 days at freshbooks.com/twit. Hello and good morning. I'm Jason Howell, and this is TWiT Live special, and basically covering Samsung's event. They have an event bright and early, at least here in the States, this morning to unveil, well, a much-anticipated event to unveil the Samsung Galaxy S8, their next flagship device. Joining me to talk all about it and to cover the live announcement as it happens is, well, you probably already know him, Ron Richards from All About Android and a whole lot of other things on the internet. How's it going, Ron?
Good. It's going well, Jason. Good to be here bright and early. And I am in New York City, but I am not at Lincoln Center because I'd rather be here with you to talk about it than actually go to the event.
I would have been really impressed if, like, I sat down here and we connected with you and you'd be standing outside of Lincoln Center doing the show.
Right. I thought about it. I did think about it. It's also important to note that I was not invited by Samsung, so that just would have been weird. So, but I couldn't think of any better way to watch this announcement than to do it here with you. So.
Well, thanks. Me as well. I'm sure you could have charmed your way in, by the way, but that's okay. That's okay. Next time. We can save it for next time. You know how Samsung is. Like, they do these announcements, and you never know what you're going to get. Are you going to get the even-keeled presenter on stage with a slideshow, pacing back and forth? Are you going to get the Broadway musical? You just don't know. What do you think?
If we're lucky, we'll get the Broadway musical. I'm crossing my fingers for some theatrics. I mean, because if we look at the last time we did this, it was in the big room, and then Mark Zuckerberg with the VR. They took it more kind of traditional company announcement. I would go for a little more flair this time around. That'd be excellent. So, we were talking a little bit about this last night on All About Android. The more I think about it, the more I think what Samsung needs to do is they need to have an actual play that kind of relives the whole fiasco. And of course, the fiasco that we're talking about is, you've heard of it a million times, I'm imagining, on this network and read all about it over the past 8 months, is the Note 7 fiasco, where their batteries just exploded enough times that it forced Samsung to do to pull back all the devices. We now are hearing that they're probably going to refurbish them and release them in some way to rental markets in different markets, not the U.S. So they're recovering from that. That was a big blow. That was one of their marquee devices. So this is the first follow-up that we have post Note 7 debacle. And to say that it's definitely a win that Samsung needs to regain trust from its consumers and its fan base, that's an understatement. They need for this to be a symbol of moving on from disaster and into a new kind of era of their devices. Yeah, this is truly a moment in Samsung, and it's going to be curious to see how this Unpacked event defines that, and here we go.
All right. The unfortunate thing is we already know a lot from based on the leaks and everything, so there will be little surprises here. They're doing their kind of promo videos right now, so I could probably rattle through them real quick. What we expect: 2 different size devices, 5.7-inch device, as well as a larger S8 Plus at 6.2-inch, both with edge displays, a bezel-less design with rounded corners and no buttons on the front. That would be a big departure for Samsung, because Samsung's kind of design image, its language, involves that physical hardware button on the front, and that's not going to be on this device. Even in this promo that we're watching here, the phone that they showed didn't have it. Fingerprint reader on the back, hardware improvements.
They just showed Iris Unlock in the demo.
There you go. That's another key feature that we've heard about, Iris Unlock. Snapdragon 835, first device to release with the new Snapdragon. Supposedly Samsung has a lock for the most part on that processor. Keeping the headphone jack. Bixby virtual assistant, Samsung's own virtual assistant, baked into there. And it'll be curious to see how they differentiate that with the Google Assistant and other assistants that already exist. Samsung's got to roll its own. That's just their way.
Oh, there's
And
a little VR
more
action going on. VR in the classroom.
Yeah. Potentially an updated Gear VR. I think I've heard that there might be a hardware controller similar to what you get with Daydream View, and other announcements underway.
Along with Rufus Wainwright doing Across the Universe. So this is a lot of the Samsung products in action kind of promo videos. Which there's a little S Pen action going on there. Someone's designing the phone.
Here's what we allow you to do with our devices. Here's what we enable you to do with our.
Do you see her? She was erasing the bezel on the sketch.
Oh,
that's interesting. Yeah,
that's subtle.
Did you see that?
Yeah. You don't need that anymore. We read the display.
Let's just erase that. Get that out of there.
President of Mobile Communications Business, DJ Co.
Good old DJ.
Based on the stage setup that we see right now with a huge screen behind him, I'm guessing it's not going to be a play. There's not going to be a play or a musical. It's going to be pretty straightforward. You can mark that off on your bingo sheet.
Thank you. It's great to be here in New York City. And welcome to everyone joining us from London.
International announcement.
Wish I could have a pint of London Pride after this. I'm so happy that you are with us today. As you all know, it has been a challenging year for Samsung.
There we go. There's the
A year filled with valuable lessons, hard decisions, and important new beginnings. And today, we are here to celebrate a new milestone. Not just the launch of a great device, but the beginning of a new way to experience the world. A world where boxes no longer define us, and barriers that once stood in the way have been removed. From the first mobile phone back in the old days,
there's a legacy aspect,
which I'm too young to remember, frankly speaking, to car phones, flip phones, and smartphones. This industry has consistently pushed the boundaries of what is possible. Capabilities that people only dreamed about are features we now take for granted.
So you balance the disaster of the note with the innovation of the future.
Share every memory and travel every city. From a device small enough to fit in your hand, but big enough to contain everything you need for your life at work and at home. And what seems exceptional today will become essential tomorrow. This is how we drive progress at Samsung. It has been our mission since we built our first cell phone in 1988. We have focused on unlocking value to create new possibilities ever since. But to succeed, we must continue to create products that you love. Smartphones that are beautiful to look at and comfortable to hold. Devices that do everything you expect and surprise you by connecting you to experiences you never thought possible. We know it also takes products that you trust. This is why our most important commitment is to quality, safety,
bingo,
and craftsmanship.
Yeah, cross that off on your list. Yeah, I mean, but they have to start off with this.
They have to.
This is probably the most public-facing moment, that a lot more people are going to actually see coming, these words coming from their mouths than they've had since the Note 7 stuff happened, aside from all the press coverage.
They need to show that they've learned from it and are applying it moving forward. Yeah.
Samsung Galaxy phones to organize their lives, save their memories, and manage their work. Today, we are proud to mark the beginning of a new era of smartphone design. An era without edges or limits.
Edges, no bezels.
An era with your phone at the center, connecting to powerful capabilities, services, and devices. Today, when most people think mobile, they think cell phones. We think this view is too narrow. Around the globe, people are inspired by the promise of a connected world. But there are too many barriers, too many steps.
Too many
promise of a connected world is experiences that are personal, intuitive, and secure. Experiences that embrace everything that is important to you across all your devices and services. Today, I'm excited to show you a new phone that extends our heritage of great innovation and stunning design. We will introduce an infinity display that sets a new standard for immersive experiences.
Infinity display.
Yeah, that's a nice little buzzword there.
Yeah.
That takes sharp pictures even in low light. And defense-grade security with the fingerprint, iris, and a new facial recognition feature.
Facial recognition.
All with fast, powerful performance and low power consumption. But this is just a start. We see the phone as a gateway that will take you beyond the boundaries of today's experiences and unlock the full potential of your imagination. Today, we will also show you new services that hint at what lies ahead as we continue our journey to defy barriers. Bixby, our new interface, will provide you with more and more personalized help, visual search, and intuitive control of all your devices, software, and services.
And Samsung officially announced Bixby, I think, like a week and a half ago. They didn't really detail it in a way that I think they're going to today, as far as like how or why you need it, but they have announced it already.
360. New services and solutions then make your phone the gateway to smart devices in your home and powerful tools at work. Many of these have been enhanced thanks to our special relationship with Google.
Interesting.
Yeah.
We have worked with Google on strategic projects for many years to provide an integrated experience for consumers. From industry-leading security to the software stack. And from services and solutions to content for a new optimized screen ratio, Google has been by our side the entire time.
We position them against each other a lot, but they really have to partner to be successful. So that makes sense.
Every service we offer, every experience we create comes from our commitment to provide
Google needs Samsung as much as
progress
Samsung needs Google as far as their phones are concerned.
That unlocks new value and creates new possibilities. But the journey is not ours alone. It's your journey too. We never could have gotten here without you. Feedback, loyalty.
A lot of leaning on the users
from
here.
Thousands of partners and millions of customers drives our progress. The Galaxy S8 and S8 Plus are inspired by your dreams of a world where you are always connected to the people you care about and the experiences you love. We
should count how many times he says the word you in this.
Understanding of how you use a phone today, and a clear sense of what you wish your phone could do. Today, it is my great pleasure to unveil a phone that will take you beyond the limits of what you have known before and bring you closer to the things you love. It is a new era of smartphone design, the beginning of a fantastic new services, and the gateway to a galaxy of possibilities. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to your phone unboxed.
So we're expecting a pretty big design change, as we were talking about a little bit earlier. And honestly, it couldn't come at a better time for Samsung.
Yeah.
I mean, the timing is actually really kind of interesting because the past two Galaxy devices look very similar, aside from the fact that, you had the Edge versus the non-Edge versions. And this time around, I think what we're going to find out is that there is no non-Edge version. But I mean, they're redesigning the front of this phone. See, you can see right there, they took away that home button that is the symbol of Samsung devices.
Yeah, they just punched the home button off the phone, didn't they?
They just beat away the bezel on one side. They jumped the bezel away on the other side. So they're stripping it away from what you knew to what it is now. And I mean, after the Note 7, craziness, they needed a way to redesign and kind of remarket themselves to kind of say we're moving on into a different direction. It's just weird that the timing lined up between that and this. It's perfect timing.
Talk about making lemonade out of lemons, right?
Yeah,
What's the best way to kind of position a major shift in design than a time when customer kind of trust is at a low.
Yep. I mean, but of course they couldn't have seen the Note 7 thing, on the horizon. So this design was already in the works prior to that. It's cool to see that it worked out well for them. Timing-wise, it couldn't have happened at a better time.
We'll see if it works out well, but it's cool. It's cool to see that's the approach they're taking.
Yeah.
And S8 Plus.
Yep.
So S8 and S8 Plus, two different sizes of the new Galaxy S8.
Yep.
More photos?
That was kind of fun.
Thank you. Now, please welcome Justin Dennison, my colleague at Samsung Electronics America. He will share more details about how the Galaxy S8 and S8 Plus will extend your mobile experience. Thank you.
Not only the positioning and the design, but the positioning in how the devices basically fuel our usage of them. I think that they're laying that Samsung is the pipes to allow you to experience this new world. I think that's a clever position.
Today marks a new beginning for Samsung, for our customers, and for the entire mobile industry. The Galaxy S8 will fundamentally change how you use your phone by giving you more screen in a completely new form factor, by introducing intelligence that makes all of your interactions simple and seamless, and by fulfilling the promise of a connected ecosystem of devices, products, and services. Back when the first mobile phones came out, just making a call from outside the house, I mean, that was huge, right? No, literally, that phone was enormous. With the flip phone, we could finally break free from our homes and offices with a device that fit inside our pockets.
And have that cool
action. But in the digital
too.
age, Mobility wasn't enough. We wanted internet at our fingertips. And then we got it with the touchscreen smartphone. And then
look at that little nubbin.
time just stopped.
It does look like an old phone now when you look at it.
It really does.
Our lives, our expectations, our habits, they kept evolving, but not the fundamental design of our phones.
This is a good point we've been making for years now.
Today, our phones aren't just music players or web browsers. They're portals to the most important places, people, and passions in our lives. And yet they have the same screens they had 10 years ago, boxed in on all sides. Until now.
Set it free, Samsung.
The Galaxy S8 isn't just a new smartphone, but a new kind of smartphone. It marks a new era in smartphone design. The perfect balance of form and function, art and science, design and technology. And it's my pleasure to introduce an innovation that will change the way you see your smartphone and everything on it. The Infinity Display.
There we go.
There it is. That's a good name. That's a good name.
So Infinity Display, remarketing of the Curve. I mean,
the Edge.
Or the Edge, sorry.
The Infinity Display has an incredible end-to-end screen that spills over the phone sides, forming a completely smooth, continuous surface. The entire front of the phone is pure, pristine glass, which flows seamlessly into the aluminum shell. Where there were boundaries, we pushed past them. Where there were barriers, we removed them, giving you a higher screen-to-body ratio than ever before. The endless curves of the device meld into one another, so you can barely tell where the screen ends and the frame begins.
I can barely tell.
The result
you can still tell.
is a beautifully curved, perfectly symmetrical object.
Looks really nice, though.
It does,
That's a pretty
To create the
striking
Infinity
design.
Display, we took a 5.8-inch piece of glass, 6.2 inches for the Galaxy S8 Plus, and we rounded the corners and curved the edges.
There's your rounded corners.
Even with more screen, the phone feels small and comfortable in your hand. Now you see, the conventional wisdom was that having a big screen meant having a, big device. But with curved edges, we realized that we could increase the size of the display without sacrificing that comfortable grip. But just bending the screen isn't enough if it's still boxed in by bezels. I mean, seriously, when was the last time that you actually admired your phone's bezels? I mean, in the past, they've been required for the internal wiring and some of the components of the phone. But we innovated to give users the screens they actually wanted. And our solution came from within. We reorganized the phone's interior and made each individual component smaller. That way we could stretch the usable surface of the phone over basically the entire front of the device. Where there used to be bezels, now there's only screen.
Oh, you still got
In
a
other
little
words, we've
top and
redesigned
bottom,
the
but
smartphone from the inside out.
You got to have a little bit of that, though,
unbox
right?
the screen and
for the mic
unleash
and
its
for the
infinite
speaker.
potential.
Yeah.
The Galaxy S8 bridges the gap between movie and
Front-facing
TV
camera.
resolutions with an extra 500,000 pixels and the largest display for a smartphone of its size. As for how to use all that extra space, well, that's up to you. More screen means more freedom to multitask, so you can watch a video while texting about it with your friends. It also means less time scrolling when you're reading an article or checking your Facebook feed. Best of all, entertainment is more immersive than ever. With the Galaxy S8, you can stream content from providers like Netflix and YouTube on a screen that literally draws you inside the action.
Ooh, don't show Iron Fist.
And the Infinity Display isn't just bigger.
Not that good, huh?
It's actually richer and more vibrant. In fact, the Galaxy S8 is the first mobile device to earn a mobile HDR premium certification from the UHD Alliance.
Oh, that's impressive.
That means when you watch your,
Can't wait to see this display. Samsung displays on their flagships
that means
are
when you
always
watch your favorite
pretty
show,
impressive.
you'll see exactly the same vivid colors and contrasts that the directors imagined. We've teamed up with Amazon Prime Video and others to bring you HDR content to mobile, so you can stream movies and shows like Amazon's award-winning original series in its original, crisp, realistic colors right from your phone. And with the Galaxy S8, there's also a new Clearview standing cover, so you can keep your phone propped up while you watch. Now,
That's
some of you
interesting.
might be wondering, what happened to the home button? Well, it's still there.
I am wondering.
But to give you more screen, we moved the home button beneath the infinity display. And with a combination of hardware and software.
Okay, this is kind
So
of
it's still a physical button that's just invisible.
yeah, kind of 3D touch-like, right?
Yeah.
And with a combination of hardware and software, we made sure it responds to pressure just like a physical button would.
Wow. I want to try that
We
out.
also took the design of the infinity display
pretty cool.
and created a new visual language to match. From app icons to typography, the look and feel of the Galaxy S8 software incorporates the same design principles as the infinity display, using smooth, continuous curves and play of light and line to create depth and dimension. As soon as you unlock your phone, you'll notice a natural, seamless flow from the always-on display to the home screen. The Galaxy S8 brings together design, technology, and user experience in a device that looks and feels like none other.
Well, there's the colors.
And you can make it your own by choosing from one of 5 stunning colors.
I gotta admit, I like that purple one. The orchid gray. It's nice.
With a new form factor
Might
and a
have to
new
go blue.
interface. The Galaxy S8 gives users even better access to the core features they know and love. Like our cameras, of course. Our cameras have been designed to capture your favorite moments clearly and quickly. And when we introduced the award-winning Galaxy S7 camera, we raised the bar for taking photos in low light with the first ever dual pixel sensor on a mobile device.
Yeah.
We've taken that same
really great
revolutionary
pictures.
technology and incorporated it into the Galaxy S8.
Yeah, they've got to double down on the camera to overcome the
And
battery
we've gone even
problem.
further.
Absolutely.
I mean, haven't you ever wished that you could take like multiple photos of the same moment and then combine the best attributes of those photos to create the perfect shot?
I have.
Well, that's what multi-frame image processing does.
True.
It uses multiple images to reduce noise and boost brightness when you need it most. With the Galaxy S8, multi-frame processing will be active in all sorts of conditions, so you'll never miss that perfect shot. These days, the way we capture and share moments has, fundamentally changed, right? In fact, it's literally done a 180. We take millions of selfies every day. Let's just admit it. Many of us will take more than 25,000 in our lifetimes. I know this personally
lot of
because my
pictures
12-year-old daughter is clearly on pace
myself.
for twice that. That's why we made our front-facing camera even better. It now has an 8-megapixel sensor, an autofocus that detects your face, so you can get fast, clear, focused shots from the front. Now, whether we're watching, creating, or sharing content, we want to be able to do that anywhere, right? So we became one of the first manufacturers to make our devices water and dust resistant.
Because how often are you that guy?
Listen, that's been the dream, sitting in the pool reading the paper.
Literally sitting under the pool reading the paper.
Now, of course, to power an amazing phone, you need the best possible processor and battery, right? That's why we created a new 10-nanometer smartphone processor for the Galaxy S8. Yeah. It's incredibly powerful. Now, why does 10 nanometers matter? Well, just to give you some perspective, that means that 10,000 of our transistors can fit on the width of a human hair. And as transistors get smaller, we can pack more processing power into the same space. The result is a mobile processor that's faster and more powerful than any other we've ever made, ushering a new standard for the smartphone. It's also our most efficient processor, consuming less energy and saving your battery. Of course, when you do need to recharge, we've always believed it should be easy and convenient, of course. We pioneered fast and wireless charging, to remove the burdens of traditional charging, giving you new ways to power up your device. For example, our newest wireless charging pad gives you more options, letting you lay your phone flat or prop it up so you can see the screen.
Those are the options I was looking for.
We are committed to innovation, from hardware to software, from core features to accessories that make your life easier. We're also committed to innovation in quality and safety. We put the Galaxy S8 through our toughest safety testing process ever, with an 8-point battery safety check that goes beyond the industry standard. Because quality and safety is and remains our top priority.
And we really don't want another Note 7.
Our commitment to safety extends to security too. For years, in order to protect your most valuable information, we had to create these long, complex passwords. But that's not enough. For each site, you have to create a different long and complex password. Oh, but that's not enough either. Now you have to change these passwords every 3 months. So at Samsung, we saw an opportunity to make users' lives safer and easier through biometric authentication. Now instead of typing a password, you are the password. It's the perfect combination of security and convenience.
The password is inside the house.
One of the most exciting examples of this is the iris scanner, which maps your iris and creates a unique digital signature, an iPrint instead of a fingerprint. It's the most secure form of biometric security we've ever created.
You're going to love it.
Now,
I'm not going to talk about where the fingerprint scanner is.
really want to get into your phone really quickly. So we perfected a form of biometrics that lets you do exactly that. It's called face recognition. So let's say you wanted to unlock your phone right now. The first thing you do is you take your phone and then you see the lock screen. With face recognition, there are no other steps. You just hold your S8 in front of your face and it will pull up your home screen instantly.
We're going to keep trying face recognition until it works.
Scanner. Well, we've moved that to the back of the phone to make
if it works, it'll be super
for all
convenient.
that extra screen.
As long as it's not trickable.
And because convenience also means choice, you can choose to use a pattern, a password, or a PIN to protect your phone as well. The Galaxy S8 gives you security options that work best for you.
And at some point, we're going to start getting combined
that's what we mean when
authentication options. You know what I mean? For higher higher confidence that you are. You know, who you say you are.
I'm surprised they don't have that now, like fingerprint plus iris or something, you know, like a double, you know, like 2-factor authentication.
Right, yeah, exactly. It's like multiple factor authentication.
About what a smartphone is.
They're saving that for the next, you know, you got to save something for the future device. I'm sure that's coming eventually.
We've always believed your phone should be more than a standalone device. That's why our smartphones have always been the center of a connected ecosystem, a network of devices and services that work together seamlessly. Our mobile devices unlock the potential of the smartphone, giving users a more connected, more convenient smartphone experience. An example of this is Samsung Pay, which turns your phone into a digital wallet that you can use virtually anywhere you'd use a credit or debit card. Consumers around the world have used Samsung Pay for about 250 million transactions to date. That's billion with a B. And that number is just going to keep growing.
Samsung Pay is pretty solid.
We've also partnered with more than 870 banks globally. In addition to the in-store coverage, we're expanding into online payments through strategic partnerships with companies like Visa Checkout. And remember when we talked about those annoying passwords? Well, let me tell you about an application that I use literally every day. We're expanding coverage for Samsung Pass, which makes logging into apps and websites easier than ever with iris and fingerprint scanning. And we're working with leading partners such as Bank of America, US Bank, MasterCard, and Visa, and others to integrate Samsung Pass into more financial services in the US, Europe, and Asia.
Wow.
So, whether you need secure access to your financial information or a quick way to log into your favorite sites, Samsung Pass helps you balance security,
last pass on steroids.
And soon, you'll be able to use Samsung Pass and more services beyond finance. With Samsung Pass, you can take charge of your virtual life. But the S8 also lets you take charge of your actual life or your well-being with Samsung Health. You can already use your Galaxy device and Samsung Health to track your fitness goals like calories burned or steps taken. And with the Galaxy S8, we're putting even more control in the hands of our users. We've partnered with leading online providers like American Well in the US to bring you our new Ask an Expert feature. With it, you can connect with a doctor online within minutes at a time that works for you. Ask an Expert is available in Korea and China and will be available in the US at launch with service varying by location. And we'll continue expanding to more users in the coming months. A decade ago, the idea that your phone could help you check out at a cash register or connect you with a doctor, that would have sounded pretty far-fetched, right? Incredible advances in technology have helped our phones evolve into devices they are today. And yet, as smartphones acquire more and more functionality, we have to really make sure that they do simplify our lives. That's one of the fundamental paradoxes of innovation. How do you add capability without taking away usability? To answer that question, we're introducing an entirely new way to interact with your phone. And now, to tell you more about it, please welcome to the stage Sriram Dodla. Sriram.
Some more innovation.
Thank you, Justin. Hello, everyone. It's great to be here. I never imagined 20 years ago when I graduated from high school on this very stage that I'd be back here to tell you about Samsung's vision for the future of mobile interaction. How many dozens of apps are on your phone right now? How many interfaces do you deal with every single day? How many layers of menus, how many taps and swipes to get to what you need? With every advance in technology, our lives get more richer and more connected. But our phones are getting more cluttered and complicated. We end up adapting to our phones when our phones should be adapting to us. It doesn't have to be that way. Technology should make your life easier, and intelligence is a key part of that. See, we actually have a different view of intelligence than most other companies. We see it as a deep, integrated experience. We see it as a tool, not just for finding things out, but for getting things done. And we see it as a vehicle for a new type of interface that learns, evolves, and adapts to you.
This is Bixby, I believe.
I could not be more excited to share with you an innovation that will completely change the way you use your mobile phone. Everyone, meet Bixby.
So this is following the footsteps of Siri and Google Assistant and Alexa. So how, is it really going to change the way we use our phone?
Reimagine the mobile user experience.
What I understand, it's less about today, being a catch-all for everything and more about making your phone easier to use in certain ways, like features of your phone and stuff. But
it's supposed to make everyday interactions easier. But right now, voice is an isolated feature that doesn't really understand what's happening on the screen. Bixby understands context. It knows what's happening on your screen, which allows you to seamlessly move between voice and touch. Let me show you what I mean. Let's say my friend Cindy is meeting me for lunch and I have to tell her my location. All I have to do is open up Maps, press the convenient Bixby button on the side of the phone and say, capture this and send to Cindy.
It's a dedicated button on the side.
Bixby understands when I say capture this.
No voice
That's
trigger.
Context awareness. Now let's say I have multiple Cindys in my phone. Oh, Bixby's smart enough to know when it needs more information. And it will let me choose which one I mean. Then I can finish up with touch by selecting the right person, typing in the message, and sending it off. The whole time I move seamlessly between voice and touch. Beyond voice, Bixby's intelligence is embedded deep into the camera. So much of the information we see every day is visual. We see images, signs, products we're curious about, But we have to translate that into something our phones can understand. With Bixby, we've built intelligence into the camera, so it understands what we're seeing. And thanks to our partners, you can search for images, learn about landmarks, shop online, and even translate languages.
Like Google Goggles.
Whenever I come back to New York, I love looking for new restaurants to eat at. So this past weekend, I was roaming around some old neighborhoods, and I came across the Flatiron Building. I pulled out my camera, and Bixby recognized it. But it also gave me some great options for dining nearby. It was great. Let's take another example.
Of course it recognized one of the most iconic buildings in the city.
If you see something you want to buy, just point the camera at it, and Bixby will find it from one of our partners.
It's like Amazon search.
Right. Yep.
With voice and vision, Bixby helps you get things done in an easy, intuitive way. But Bixby also learns and adapts to your routine to anticipate what you need. When you swipe to the right on the home screen, Bixby takes you to a contextual, personalized page.
Bixby now.
It shows you the information you use from the apps you use in one convenient place. You'll see a series of cards for native apps like email and gallery, and third-party apps like Facebook and Uber. And Bixby will organize these cards based on where you are and what time it is. In the morning, you might see news and weather. And at night, your alarm and step count. And the more you use it, the more it learns. So let's say I take Uber most days to work in the morning. Bixby will start placing the Uber cart at the very top of the stack. You can also use Bixby to create reminders that show up at a certain time and place. For example, I've been trying to plan a vacation with my family to Thailand for a long time. And let's say I run across an article at work and I don't have a time to read it because I'm getting ready for Unpacked. I can have Bixby set up a reminder for me to read it when I get home. And the moment I walk through the door, the reminder pops up. Bixby will support native apps and third-party apps like Google Play Music. Just think, for example, you might be able to play any song from Google's catalog using just your voice, or access your music library with a swipe to the right, or even set a reminder for when a new album drops. That's Bixby. It's an intelligent interface that combines voice and touch, images and information, your location and habits to make your life easier.
It's basically another example of Samsung taking what you're used to seeing on some devices and putting their own spin on it, hoping that you'll use theirs. I wonder for how many people they choose to use Bixby over something like Assistant. If Assistant's on the S8 at all.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think it comes down to it. If you're on the phone, here's something to keep up with the Assistant and with the Alexas of the world. You know, it's just an option so they're not missing out. They're checking off this box. This is an interesting implementation. This is like a little bit of best of everything, but also taking away some of the things that I like about the other options. But.
It's called Samsung Connect. When you open it, you'll see a dashboard of every single connected device.
Talking about IoT now.
But the real power of the app is that you can monitor and control your devices from miles away. I don't know if this has ever happened to you, but I find myself in a grocery store all the time without a shopping list. Right? So I have no idea what's at home. So instead of pacing around and wondering what's in my Family Hub fridge, I can use Samsung Connect to check inside.
This is if you live the Samsung life.
I know that I have everything I need for that Kung Pao chicken. And I make a great Kung Pao chicken, by the way.
Look how big that screen on that fridge is, man.
Ultimately, our vision is for Bixby to use Samsung Connect to control all of the connected devices in your home with your voice. Now, even with all of these smart connected devices, sometimes even basic connectivity can be a problem. And that's why we're introducing Samsung Connect Home. It's a premium router and IoT hub in one.
There you go.
It provides mesh-based Wi-Fi to boost your connectivity at home. And it lets you control Samsung and SmartThings appliances to enhance your IoT options.
The home is the next battlefield, right? It's like everyone wants to get their router in and their IoT controls.
Not just how you interact with your phone,
and it makes sense
with
with
an entire
Samsung with so many
ecosystem
different
of smart
appliances.
devices.
Yeah, it's like it's
turning
perfect
your phone
for their model.
into a universal remote for your life. Bixby delivers intelligence in a practical, meaningful way. Connect brings a powerful ecosystem to life with a single app. And our vision is to bring intelligence and IoT together to make your life easier and better. Now, as much as you love hearing me talk about the Galaxy S8, I'm sure you're wondering when you get to try it yourself. To tell you about our plans for launch, please welcome back Justin Dennison.
All right, real quick here, we're going to take a quick break while they transition and thank the sponsor of this episode, and that is FreshBooks. Tax time, as you know, is right around the corner. FreshBooks makes it easy and fast to create and send professional-looking invoices, so you can stop chasing your clients. Invoicing clients online will help you get paid an average of 11 days faster. That's right, 11 days faster, a whole lot faster. With FreshBooks payments, you can enable your clients to pay you online by credit card. No setup required. Your customer can pay straight from their invoice. See what invoices have been sent, viewed, and paid, as well as overdue and outstanding invoice totals. And you can easily brand your invoices, set recurring invoices, set auto payment reminders, or automatic late fees. FreshBooks time tracking allows you to bill for your time by client and by specific projects, so you can track your time to the minute. You can even manage team timesheets. And when it comes time to create an invoice, you'll know what you did and when you did it. So try it for free for 30 days at freshbooks.com/twit. Enter TWiT in the How Did You Hear About Us section. And we thank FreshBooks for their support. So it looks like we are going to see this device on April 21st. Let's get right back to it. It's basically what we missed.
Also to be sold separately for $99.
Accessories. You need earbuds.
Accessories created for Galaxy S8 users. From the infinity display to the camera. From Samsung Pass to Bixby. The Galaxy S8 unlocks your potential. But more than that, it powers an entire ecosystem of connected devices. From smart appliances that let you take control of your own personal world, to VR technology that transports you to worlds you've never imagined. And to talk to you more about how the S8 will give you access to incredible immersive experiences, please welcome to the stage, Suzanne Da Silva.
So my apologies, I took the worst time to take that break, but just to catch you up here, S8 price starts at $750. It's going to be released April 21st. And that's kind of what we have right now.
And the S8 Plus is $850, right?
There we go, $100 more.
We get to show you some really cool products that help you do, play, see, and share more than ever. The Samsung Galaxy begins with your phone, but it doesn't end there.
So this is the accessories VR 360 camera, right?
Turns your device into a digital wallet, a universal ID, and even a direct line to your doctor. It breaks down the physical and virtual barriers to empower you to do more. Take VR, for example. VR makes it possible to travel halfway around the world in an instant and feel like you're actually there.
This VR reaction shots are too much.
But what if you're also
But you know what? It works. It totally
does.
works. It worked on my parents. They were like, I really want to see this whole VR thing. I saw the Samsung commercial, blah, blah. It totally pulled them in.
That's why we created the motion sensing Bluetooth controller for the Gear VR.
Thank you. Once you have the motion controller on smartphone VR, it's hard to go back. It really makes it that much better, that much more dynamic.
And this is keeping up with Google and Daydream and the Daydream VR controller.
Interact with your environment. Of course, immersive experiences aren't complete without equally immersive content. So, soon, you'll be able to step inside Paramount Pictures' Ghost in the Shell movie and get close to the intense action and amazing visuals, like Major's dive from the rooftop and her battle with robots. And our partners at Oculus are developing games that let you use our new motion controller to build complex machines, explore new worlds, or battle in space. VR is not just about movies and games. So, we've partnered with content creators like BuzzFeed and Now This, who have massive audiences across their social and digital platforms to bring you engaging, everyday content in 360. This summer, we're also putting Gear VR users in the middle of the action by live streaming the hottest events, including a UFC title match, a Live Nation concert, and the Summer X Games, all through our Samsung VR app.
We won't tell you what concert, just a Live Nation concert.
A single concert.
We believe you shouldn't be limited by expensive headsets or lack of access to great content. And we believe that everyone should have the opportunity to experience VR. Of course, making VR accessible to everyone is not just about making it easier to view and experience. It's also about making it easier to create and share your memories as well. And that is why last year we introduced the Gear 360. It's an affordable camera for creating your very own 360-degree photos and videos.
I love the 360,
Gear 360
by the way.
doesn't just show you the world.
I forget to use it because I have one at home, but it's really cool when I do.
It's neat. It's just I don't see people living without it. You know what I mean? Like I haven't seen it been like, oh my God, you've got to see this in 360.
Right.
Wonder no more. This year, we're making the Gear 360 even better. Introducing the all-new Gear 360.
All right. I'm hoping, I'm guessing better resolution at the very least. That's what you could really improve on it.
With an enhanced grip that fits comfortably in your hand, it shoots in brilliant 4K, so you can capture memories in clear, high-quality 360-degree video. And now you can live broadcast your experiences in real time on Facebook, YouTube, or Samsung VR, essentially breaking down the barriers of time and distance.
That's cool. Like that.
All right.
Yeah, the HTC Periscope robot. Yes, exactly.
We've been working with our partners at great destinations to put some amazing content together. Tom's going to come in shortly.
Cross our fingers.
You can see the power of 360. Looks like we're having a little bit of difficulty with the audio
here we
feed.
go.
Hey guys,
there we go.
Co-founder of Beautiful Destinations. Right now, I'm across the street from you at Lincoln Center. At Beautiful Destinations, our mission is to celebrate the beauty of the world and all of its amazing people, places, and experiences.
That's cool.
We've been using the Gear 360 all around the world, and we couldn't be more excited about the new version as we push the boundaries in engaging immersive content. For us, it's all about storytelling, and 360 adds a whole new dimension. With the new Gear 360, you can share live moments with your friends from anywhere around the world. Are you guys ready to create your own beautiful destinations? Over to you, Suzanne.
Well, it ended up working. I'll give him props. That could have failed miserably, and it worked.
I was hoping he was going to parachute down to Lincoln Center.
You're going to love this. We've got a special surprise for everyone here in the audience today. Instead of just showing you the new Gear 360, we want you to be the very first people to try it out for yourselves. What do you think about that?
Back on the giveaway train.
Mm-hmm. All right. You're going to see Samsung employees coming through the aisle, handing you your very own Gear 360.
Surprised they're doing this manually, that they didn't just put them underneath the chair. Probably would have allowed them to just move on. But it looks like they have enough help, so they're okay. Samsung's going to be all right. Nice new design. it takes away, one thing I actually really do like about the old 360 is that it has the like triple leg fold out.
Little tripod thing.
Tripod
right?
method. Doesn't look like this has that, but.
The auditorium is going to transform around us, and we're going to capture these incredible views together. Does everyone have one? Once you have one, put them up in the air.
This is where it goes off the rails.
Yeah.
All
could.
right.
Definitely
Good job. Everyone's got one. Great. Now, what I'd like you to do is locate the power button and hold it down for 2 seconds to turn it on.
Oh, this is...
Perfect. You should see a green light. I'm seeing green lights. Lots of green lights. Great. All right. Now, get ready. Hold up your camera. Press the record button. We're going to capture this moment. Here we go.
Do they have to be synced to a device, or?
So,
no, it can store onto the 360.
Yeah. You see some epic scenery. You want to capture
wondering where they're
the
going with
essence
this.
of that moment.
Yeah,
All 360 degrees of it. There is no better way to do that than with the Gear 360.
Okay.
Where's the payoff?
I don't know. For us, I don't know if there is payoff. I think their payoff is they get home and they find the video after the fact and they look at it and watch it.
Thank you. What's even cooler is when you leave here today, you get to take that Gear 360 and the experience that you just recorded with you. And you can show the rest of the world how awesome it was to be here at Unpacked by posting that video to social media.
Okay, all right.
Oh, jeez.
I mean, hey, they got the free 360s. There's that at least, but... And now they know how to use it. See, it was instructional. Yes. It was informative.
And you can share it on social media.
It will launch globally, and everyone will be able to capture their very own stories.
Our payoff was watching the audience. You're absolutely right, Stoic
360 is the future of storytelling. And everyday creators like you are the ones that tell the best stories. So, whether you're a visionary director, a viral YouTuber, or a Sunday hiker, we want you to be able to create and share in this new medium. Our philosophy is simple. You create 360, and we make the tools to help you do it. And speaking of incredible new tools that put the control in your hands, I want to introduce you to a new Samsung experience that bridges the gap between the desktop and mobile. Over the past few years, we've seen a transition from traditional computers to mobile devices. And yet, some things are just faster and easier when you've got a monitor, mouse, and keyboard. Like when you need to edit a presentation.
Yeah.
This is interesting.
That's why we created Samsung DeX. It's a new productivity tool that lets you power a desktop experience right from your phone. Let me show you how it works with the help of my colleague, John Wong.
So continuity style features so you could dock your phone and move into a desktop environment with it.
Hey, John, are you ready to
Which
show
is pretty
off how
neat.
awesome
I mean, when it
DeX
works, it's
is?
pretty neat. I mean, we've seen it with Windows, right?
Absolutely.
Right.
Let's do this. Accessing Samsung DeX is super simple. It's literally plug and play. Or for my busy work life, more like plug and work. And check this out. When Samsung DeX launches, I can use face recognition to unlock my phone to get into my desktop experience. All I do here is click, look at my phone, and I'm in.
Wow.
You can see John's home screen right there on the monitor. He's got multiple windows open side by side, and all his essential smartphone apps like Messages, Calendar, and Email. We're also working with Microsoft and other partners to optimize many more apps for Samsung DeX. John, why don't we finish up that presentation we were working on and show everyone how simple yet powerful this tool is?
You got it. So I'm just gonna pull up the presentation here. And let's edit a couple slides. So this slide looks a little busy. So let's move some content over to the other slide. I can do that by seamlessly selecting the content with my mouse. I can use a convenient keyboard shortcut like Control-X to cut it. Go to the other slide, Control-V to paste it.
So this is
use
keyboard
a keyboard and
actions,
mouse
right?
to move it to the exact position that I want on the slide. That looks about good. I can also resize this image here so it fits better on the slide. Let's say right there looks good. I can also use a full external keyboard to edit the title. And now I can simply go Control-S to save the presentation. Now that the presentation's done, let me send that back to you, Suzanne. All I do is go to email, go to your message, hit reply. I'll navigate to my files where my presentation is. What's really cool is you can see I can drag the presentation and drop it into the email message as an attachment. Send it off, and we're done.
I mean, it's continuum, right? I mean, it's nothing that radically different, but it looks like it works.
Thanks,
right?
John.
So.
Keep in mind, everything you just saw was done using the Galaxy S8, thanks to its new powerful and efficient 10 nanometer processor. We've also customized the interface to run Android OS in a desktop experience. And because of Samsung Knox, our defense-grade security solution that's built right into the Galaxy S8, your sensitive data is protected when you use Samsung DeX.
I just don't. Who
wants
would do
this,
that?
right?
Technological innovation.
I'm sure somebody
gives
does,
us the
but
tools to
I never
create
understand
new
those
worlds.
kinds of solutions, though.
To break down barriers and do what we never thought possible. That's why we built this ecosystem of connected devices and why we made it intuitive and accessible with the Galaxy S8. We are so proud of this device and incredibly excited for you to see and experience it for yourselves. But first, I'd like to welcome back to the stage DJ Ko.
I don't understand those devices specifically because in order for you to do it, like you need a setup with a monitor and a keyboard and a mouse, and if you have that, you probably already have a computer. I mean, that works for Continuum, that works for Windows 10 because Windows 10 Mobile is Windows 10, and Windows already has a very successful desktop environment platform. I don't understand why this would be what you would devote to your desktop.
It's the future, Jason. It's the future, Jason. It's how you use your device.
It's an uphill battle for Samsung, if that's the case.
We must be bold enough to step into the unknown and humble enough to learn from our mistakes.
Now, there it is again.
This is how
Casual
new
DJ
doors are opened. And the impossible becomes possible. Today, the Galaxy S8 and S8 Plus offer a gateway to a new mobile life where the power of innovation, imagination, and inspiration will carry us beyond the old barriers and into a world of unlimited possibilities. Please enjoy the video, which for us shows the progress we have made together. Thank you, everybody.
All right. Let's see here. So they're going to play a little promotional video, take a little victory lap. I mean, honestly, this device looks really nice. Like, I can't wait to get my hands on it. It looks like a device that's going to feel good in the hand. And Samsung, this is a good turnaround for Samsung, I think.
And to clarify one thing that they didn't touch upon, they didn't mention anything about a headphone jack because there is a headphone jack.
Yeah,
so,
I was just
don't worry.
I was just diving into that. They didn't make a point of it either, so maybe that was last year's point to be made, which is and by the way,
and here's an ostrich using VR.
It's that easy. Even an ostrich can do it.
They conveniently don't show the ostrich getting the headset on its head.
I mean, that's pretty cool.
Jeez.
who hasn't been that ostrich when they first put on VR? I mean, we've all been that ostrich.
Oh. I think that ostrich is spending too much time plugged into the Matrix.
Yeah. I'm not sure the battery lasts that long, ostrich. When you're in VR mode. So is this an ad for everything that they announced, or just the Gear VR?
No, this is the VR. This is just the VR.
All right.
It's going to inspire an ostrich to fly. What?
That's good. I like that. It's well done, I think. Ridiculous. Don't get me wrong.
You can do what can't be done. You too could fly like an ostrich with Samsung.
Cool. Thank you, Samsung.
Do what you hashtag do what you can't. That's funny.
Yeah. Interesting that they ended with a promotional video for Gear VR and not
well, I think it's less for Gear VR and just more the concept of doing the unthinkable. You know, like yes, that was VR, but the idea is with all their devices, you can do these things now that you didn't think before you could do. You know?
Right.
Yeah. Oh, jeez.
They've been sitting amongst you all along, and they had one in their pocket the entire time. You had no idea. Oh, Samsung loves their theatrics. I was actually quite impressed by how quickly they were able to hand out those Gear 360s.
Yeah, that was pretty fast. Well, they got a lot of white shirts there in the audience.
Yeah, they do have a lot of helpers.
Yeah.
This is the part where they all end up on stage and do the river dance. So
that's what it seems like. It's very. Oh, now they're going out to the demo areas. Right. Yeah, here it is. Yeah.
So theatrical. All right, so I think we've seen what we were meant to see. Samsung Galaxy S8 and S8 Plus. There is no more Edge version of their devices. It seems like, which is very interesting because Samsung, started with remember, was it 3 years ago that you had the Edge on the one side that was like tapping its toes into the water to see is this going to work? And Samsung really had to fight hard to prove why you needed that from a utility perspective. And I think what they've learned over the years, and now, they have the Infinity display that's replacing it if it's only marketing or whatever, is that the Edge display isn't necessarily utility. It's just really nice looking. And now it's just become their design language. I think that's the right way to go.
And you notice how they've totally moved away from the Edge as the second screen, the little kind of like ticker along the side. They've just seemingly abandoned that functionality, but just supporting the idea of a edgeless to edgeless piece of glass that curves and actually utilizes gives you more screen real estate in doing so. Mm-hmm. So it's interesting to see the evolution of this concept of the Edge go from a gimmick, which was a second screen along the Edge, to actually manufacturing and making perfect this, complete end-to-end rounded kind of corner screen approach, which I think looks really nice and makes the device longer, gives you more screen real estate now that they've got the button in under the glass. It's just a really nice piece of hardware.
I was wondering about that. I was like, okay, so they're just going to have capacitive on-screen buttons for the controls because they won't have the hardware controller down there. But it turns out that, they're saying that underneath the screen, it's a pressure-sensitive button there. Why is that needed, though? Why couldn't it be just a capacitive button the way other phones do? Is that because, like, in a screen-off state, that would actually wake it up the same way a hardware button would?
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, there's got to be some other, functionality aspect to it that it's, because they said that it can pick up pressure on how hard you push it down or whatnot. Does that, is that going to change whether, flips on the always on screen or logs into the device or whatnot? So it's something I really want to play with and feel. And then also, like, is that something that's going to break? Like how after being pushed down so much, you're going to get a lot of repeated pressure on that area of the screen. I'm curious how that stands up in their quality testing.
Well, yeah, with an 8-point quality inspection process that they have now, thanks to the Note 7. let's hope that they tested enough to check for that.
It's really, in terms of the testing, really interesting when they talk about the battery. All they did was mention the size of the battery and the fact that now you can, you can still have wireless charging, and that was like it. Like nothing else about like battery life or extending or anything like that. They just they touched on the battery, all they had to, and then got out.
They want the dialogue, the coverage of this to not focus on battery, I'm guessing.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Agreed.
Like they've battery to a certain degree for Samsung, at least for the next short term, is probably a bad word.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so the focus would then be on here's how secure and how quality assured we are about our devices based on all of the testing that we're doing that isn't just related to the battery, which you've probably heard about, but all facets of the device. It's going to be safe. Don't worry about it. We're doing all these things now to protect it.
Yeah, and then also with DJ Ko's, kind of introductory statements as well as closing statements, the sense of, not so much falling on the sword, but owning what happened, saying this has been a tough year, we've learned a lot, we've adjusted, and here we are to make something even better now. So I think they handled the issue really well in a dignified manner.
Yeah. So really nice design changes. They say higher screen to body ratio, quote, than ever before. Rounded corners, curved edges, which they call the infinity display. The first with mobile HDR premium certification. I have to imagine this display is going to look awesome. Samsung displays on their premium smartphones usually do. This kind of goes up another notch. I'm looking forward to seeing that. Like you said, the hidden 3D touch-like button behind the screen that acts as the home screen. They did not mention, I don't think they made a single mention of the fingerprint reader on the back. They just mentioned that it had a fingerprint reader. They did not mention where it was, which basically it's on the back right next to the rear-facing camera. And a lot of people are wondering if that's close enough that, you'll end up smudging your camera or hitting the camera when you think you're hitting your fingerprint reader. But
and I'm already seeing people online complaining about the placement of it, but there was one shot of a hand holding the camera and the finger was aligned right with the fingerprint reader. So my guess is that there's some user testing and showing that this is a natural place to place your hand to unlock it with the fingerprint. So I'm sure they have a reason behind it. So
yeah. I mean, the truth is you get used to it. When it's your device, you get used to it pretty fast. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The first time I had to get used to having a fingerprint reader on the back, I mean, the first few times I used it, it was weird because it was different from what I was used to. On the Pixel, it's kind of centered and up near the top. And, I know that because I've been using the Pixel for 5 months now or whatever. If I have, and when we get this device, I'm sure it'll get me a couple of times, but then I'll find it with my finger because that's just the way it is.
Yep.
Riley does say that they acknowledged that it was on the back to give it more screen real estate. But they didn't really focus on that. Whereas that would have been and has been a major talking point for other manufacturers in the past, but that's been a few years now.
They have more exciting things to talk about, like the iris scanning as well as the facial recognition. So totally. It became the fingerprint becomes something that they have, and it's here, and that's all. I'll move on. Yep.
So iris scanning, which we saw in the Note 7. And we knew that it was probably going to come to the S8. So, and you know what? People have used the iris scanning. I always thought it kind of felt kind of gimmicky, but it worked pretty well, and people swear by it. So here you go. It'll be on their next flagship. Also, facial recognition, and and like we said, fingerprint scanning. So you've got a lot of different ways to authenticate to get into your device.
So touching on Bixby, the kind of the assistant aspect, the Siri, Google Assistant, Alexa kind of approach. Really interesting that it's a button that triggers it as opposed to being in an always listening state.
Well,
and I think the convergence between interacting with your phone, they're saying no difference between touching your phone and talking to it, is going to be interesting to see that and how that gets used, because do you really see people sitting in a coffee shop talking to their phone? It's the practical use of it is, I'm curious to see how users adapt to it.
Yeah, and the more I thought about it, the more I think it makes sense that Samsung would put a dedicated button for it, because if it's and by the way, Bixby, from what I can tell, is the direct result of their acquisition of a company called Viv last year, which was created by the people who created Siri. So that's why there's a lot of similarity in a number of ways between features on Bixby and all the other voices, all the other virtual assistants. But I think the dedicated button on the side is actually pretty smart if what Samsung wants is to prove to people why they should use this versus using the things that they might already have access to. If it has a dedicated button, they're more likely to push that button to summon, to actually summon it, instead of having to think about which thing do I launch when I need to do this virtual assistant type activity. Having a dedicated button just means it's easy to launch, and so people are more likely to do it.
Well, yeah, and also, what's interesting about all of these announcements, whether it's Bixby or the integration with other, with the Wi-Fi router and smart home element or things like that, is that Samsung is continuing to build this Samsung universe where you buy into their entire ecosystem. And so, my guess, and I don't know this for sure, but I'm sure it'll get confirmed, but Bixby is going to only be available on the Galaxy device, right? So it's not a matter of, I want Bixby, so I'm going to install it on my Android phone. It's I want Bixby, so I'm going to get a Samsung phone. Or what's more realistic is I have a Samsung phone, so I'm going to use Bixby. Right? So similar to I have an iPhone, I use Siri. I have an Amazon Echo, I use Alexa, etc. So it's like they're stepping into that arena, but doing it in a way that makes sense across their universe of devices. If you subscribe to all that, if you have a Samsung refrigerator and Samsung smart home and Samsung phone, and it's building on that ecosystem idea, which they introduced a couple of years ago, which makes sense because that's how you build brand loyalty, right? And so people settle in and say, I like Bixby, so my next phone will still be a Samsung because I like that. But time will tell if people actually do like it.
I mean, Samsung's had mixed results, mixed success on how well that works for them to kind of have their competing services, their competing features, and to pull people into those versus not. Samsung Pay, pretty darn successful. But I think in many ways, Samsung Pay is almost easier to use than some of the other payment methods.
I remember a couple. I remember a couple of years ago at one of these Unpacked events, we were saying, "Wow, Samsung really wants to be Apple." They really want to, but now a couple years later, they are as much of a force as Apple, both in sales as well as product offering, as well as kind of ecosystem. It is when you buy into a Samsung device, you're buying into this whole universe of stuff, and I'm even more impressed by their positioning during this event. That not saying that here are all the things you can do at Samsung, rather here are all the things you can do, and Samsung allows you to do them. Samsung is behind the scenes powering your life and letting you explore and connect and do all these sort of things. It's a very clever marketing strategy.
Yep. Also didn't mention about the new devices. Well, they've got 5 colors launched. They always have different colors. I'm probably going to get the blue one. Improved 8-megapixel front-facing camera. So if you are a selfie fanatic, you're going to have autofocus, face detection, and improved resolution. So your selfies have never looked better.
That's for sure.
IP68 kind of weatherproofing protection, so you can dive to the bottom of the pool and use your phone. 10-nanometer processor. They say more efficient, more power, smaller. Takes up smaller space, so that's going to make this thing even more powerful. Every Samsung Galaxy premium device is just a great step up as far as that's concerned. And I think it's the Snapdragon 835, at least here in the U.S. when this device launches, that we're going to get. So it's going to be a screaming beast. I can't wait to check it out. The S8, $750. The S8 Plus, which, by the way, the S8, 5.8-inch display. The S8 Plus is 6.2-inch display. They say with the Infinity Edge, that makes it so that you have the larger screen, but kind of still the smaller form factor from the design, so your fingers don't get tired trying to reach all across the device. But $750 for the smaller S8, $850 for the S8 Plus, and then pre-orders begin tomorrow, March 30th, with a release April 21st. So you won't have to wait too long. About another 3 weeks to get your hands on one.
It's interesting. Cool, it's an expensive device. I mean, $850 is a lot of money to spend on a phone, but but they are packing in a lot in that new device. So I don't know. I mean, it's I always say, this most recent iteration of Samsung is that they're very pretty, very nice hardware, and this is continuing in that line. I don't know whether it's the phone for me, but I know a lot of people, it just makes sense for this to be their next phone.
Well, and Samsung has always, what we've seen in the last couple of years is that Samsung has really listened to its users in a lot of ways. They changed, many complaints that people had about the design year after year. Yep. They've addressed those. You cannot knock this device for not looking like a premium device that you want to show people. You know what I mean? Like, you can be proud to have this device. It just looks, and I'm sure it feels great to use it. And then also the UX, the user experience is much more improved than it was even a couple of years ago in the days of TouchWiz, where, it was a running joke basically about how bad their kind of user experience was in software compared to the alternatives or compared to vanilla Android, let's say. Samsung's come a long way in that regard, and to the point to where even, on the last device, the S7 and the Note 7, I mean, the user experience didn't really get in the way. The UI was not a pain to use. It wasn't unenjoyable. It actually really worked based on what Samsung and the features, that Samsung is building into their layer. So they've come a long way there. They've really toned it down while still offering the things that are important to them, which are these kind of features that expand functionality beyond just the basics of what Android is expected to offer, and that's at the heart of what Samsung is trying to do. And then also, a few other things. They talked a little bit about Samsung Connect, which is kind of their app for monitoring and controlling IoT devices, kind of in combination with Samsung SmartThings. Samsung Connect Home is their router and IoT hub combination, so kind of like the Google Wi-Fi or Google Wi-Fi and more, because I don't know if Google Wi-Fi necessarily has any IoT hooks in it at this point. But more devices for you to get in on and improve your Samsung life, I guess. Samsung Pay, of course, Samsung Pass, they talked about a little bit for allowing easier access into financial services, financial apps, and they say that's expanding a little bit more. Samsung Health improvements as well. And then we heard about the Gear 360 update, 4K video, live broadcast to Facebook, YouTube, Samsung VRs, and they showed that off. Oh, that was the one point where things almost kind of fell apart during the live presentation. Thankfully, they were able to get it back on track, and the live stream actually ended up working out okay. But I was starting to feel a little bad for Samsung, and then they pulled it through.
But all in all, in terms of a presentation, this was solid. I mean, I think they hit the points they needed to. Yep. They addressed the Note issue without making too much big a deal of it. They showed they leaned hard on innovation. They leaned hard on moving mobile forward, whether it's from, like breaking away of it just being a phone and being about a bunch of different other, tools that you use, whether it's the camera, the VR, or your hub, your Wi-Fi hub, and then add in, the idea of, say whether you understand it or not, Jason. I think the desk idea DeX idea is going to be something that is an innovation to a wide market that may not know about Continuum, may not know what Windows have been doing, but shows that Samsung is thinking about taking your phone to the next step. And in the video that we saw earlier, I mean, this is you're right, someone with a computer monitor and a keyboard or whatever. But in the video, they showed the guy in his living room dropping his phone in the little cradle, and then the TV becomes his computer. Mm-hmm. I think that's going to be attractive to a lot of people as we move forward in the future. The idea of just having your phone and that powers everything you do.
But then you need all that other stuff too. That's the thing that I don't understand about this. Like, I get it. It's super cool that my computer can be a desktop if I want it to be. I just don't know how many people have this set up at their house and they're like, well, this is how I choose to desktop compute at home. I have I have the DeX, the Samsung DeX, and I just put my phone in there. And this is like my choice for desktop computing over the very fleshed out and years worth of development into the very mature desktop environments. It's neat that it can do it, but it requires you to kind of I just don't know why. But you know what? It appeals to some people. I get it. It's not everybody is like me. It wouldn't work for me.
Right, and I think it's also a difference between what is now and what is tomorrow. You know, I think we talk a lot about that science fiction world that we want to live in and things like that. This is one of them where you carry a terminal and it powers everything. You know, and like personally for me, there's no difference between having a dock that I drop my cell phone in and the Mac Mini I have sitting on my desk. You know, if anything, it's nice to have it all on one device. Now, whether or not you can do the things I can do with the Mac Mini with my Galaxy S8, you know, I probably can't do Photoshop. I can't do media editing, things like that. But for the average person, for millions of people, all they want is email and web browsing. Right. And maybe some work related PowerPoint or whatnot. This could potentially be big if Windows or Samsung or Google. I'm actually surprised Google isn't being more aggressive about this, because I think that's a way to reach a wider, you know, kind of that middle curve. You know, you got your early adopters, you got your power users, and you got millions of people in the middle there that this could apply to.
Gosh, did we miss anything? Samsung Gear VR update with motion controller. I think that's the last thing, but that's really about it. I think we covered it. Cool. And we'll definitely be getting this in-house in some way, shape, or form, at least the S8, one of the S8 devices. I'm sure Leo's probably going to get one. I'm going to be ordering one to review, and we can cover it on all the shows that we have on the network that it would fit into. Also would like to play around with that VR, the Gear VR, and see what that's all about, but I'm sure these will be sprinkling in through the month.
Yeah, this is definitely a phone that I would like. I just want to feel it and get a feel for the, you know, the display and the curves, and truly, you know, like I've said it. I say it all about Android all the time. The future is bezel-less, and this is great to see Samsung embracing this. I think this is the next wave of cell phone design. So absolutely.
Ron Richards, always fun getting the chance to do this with you. Tell people what you're working on, what you want people to know to follow you.
Yeah, so as always, it's a pleasure. I love breaking these down with you, Jason. But yeah, every Tuesday we are together here on the TWiT Network for All About Android. Tuesday about 5:30 p.m. Pacific time. It's always a blast talking about the world of Android. And you can follow me on Twitter at RonXO, where you can see me talking about my other projects, my podcasts over at iFanboy and Damn Fine Podcast about Twin Peaks with Tom Merritt. So yeah, keeping busy with podcasts. That's all it is. Right.
That's living the dream.
Living the dream.
Yep. Right on. All right. Thank you, Ron. Appreciate it.
Thanks,
you can find me, all over the TWiT Network, basically. I'm going to be getting ready for, This Week in Google. We're going to talk all about this, of course, today. Also, Tech News Today, which I do every weekday with Megan Maroney. And then All About Android on Tuesdays with Ron Richards and Florence Ion. And, we're going to be talking about this Samsung device probably for the next month. Pretty solid, because it's Samsung's big deal. One of their very big deals every single year. So it's going to get a lot of play. So thanks for tuning into this TWiT Live special to cover Samsung's big Galaxy S8 live event. You can always check out our live coverage that we do in the specials feed. Just go to twit.tv/specials, and you can see as events come up what our coverage is on those events. We cover them in real time like we did today, and hopefully you enjoy that. And I'm sure we have a whole lot more coming up in the future. Thanks for joining us today. We'll see you next time on TWiT Live Specials.